Well, good afternoon. It's wonderful to be here. I completely understand, I totally understand that outside is much better. So I'll try to be brief and quick and talk about tourism in Portugal. Thank you so much for the invitation and the opportunity. I'm going to give you a brief, or at least an overlook of how we are today. What plans do we have for the future, or how do we see the future? And most important, what are we doing to achieve that future? So, I think this is, yeah? Yeah. Let's start where we are. And how is the tourism sector in Portugal? Well, we've been, over the past years, as you can see, growing. The most expressive growth was the past 5 years, from 2015 to 2019. We grew and we hit a record of 70 million overnight stays in the entire country, and a total of 27 million guests in our hotels. 2020, as you can see, was a record of low results in terms of overnights. We went back 26 years, as you can see on this presentation. So 26 years back in the overnights in 2020. 2021, from January to July, we have 12 million overnight stays in the entire country. And I have to say that the regions that have grown more are the interior of the country, the Alentejo, the Azores, the north of Portugal, the center of Portugal, so areas that were not so touristic. This was a strategy that we designed in 2017 that had three big ambitions: having tourism in the entire territory, the entire year, and most important, from different markets. And I have to say that, for instance, in 2019, the USA, that was our 12th market 5 years ago, was our 6th market with almost 1 million tourists in 2019. So, of course, this had to do a lot with air connectivity. 70% of these overnights are foreigners, not locals. In terms of receipts, we went back 10 years. We hit a record in 2019. We've increased more than 60% the receipts of tourism for the country, 18.4 billion euros in 2019, 60% in 5 years. This year, so far, we have 3.5 billion euros from January to July, still a decrease compared with 2019, but things are recovering, and hopefully, as you will see, we will recover very quickly. This is the results of the country. We're talking of the 12th most competitive country according to the World Economic Forum of tourism, the first most competitive country in tourism infrastructure. So when you think about airports, cruises, hotels, restaurants, museums, Portugal is considered the first country, the most competitive country in the world regarding tourism. And I think this is important and has a lot to do with this. Every 5 years, Tourism of Portugal makes a study of how people, the perception of Portugal from different markets. And we always focus on the 10 main markets. So we have Brazil, United States, United Kingdom, Spain, France, all the markets that are the feeders of Portugal. This has nothing to do with tourism. It has to do with perception of brand country. And 2019, we see a huge evolution in terms of the perception of country, mostly related with tourism. And we have a brand leader, which is in transformation, but with key strengths: friendly, kind, charming, sociable, traditional, fun, fashionable, original, becoming popular, and good ratio value for money. This is how people perceive us. And this is important because everything we do in each market has to do with this. And now where we want to go, because this is how we want to be perceived in the future with a more value brand in terms of tourism. And we want to be style, cool, authentic, unique. This is where we're heading for. All our campaigns are addressing this. And our biggest focus right now is trying to bring the message to each person, especially at this time of the year, trying to bring the message of what Portugal is doing for sure and how it's behaving during the pandemic, but most important, our values and our purpose. And this is how we do it in each market. Our forecasts are very simple. We have a strategy designed for the next 10 years that was designed in 2017, as I told you. We want to reach 27.4 billion euros in 2027. You have here the results of 2020, 21, 50% of 2019. I'm sure from the recent results we have seen, it's not impossible at all. In fact, considering the air connectivity that we had during summer, and I have to tell you that we've recovered to 60% of the air connectivity from 2019, and we already have, from November, 90% of the air connectivity from 2019. So these are wonderful news, of course, but our biggest goal is going back to the numbers of 2019. And we will do that by 2023. It's not only us who say it. We're not the only ones. The Bank of Portugal says that too. In fact, they're very much more optimistic than we are, which is wonderful news. It's wonderful to see a national bank more optimistic than the National Tourism Office. But 2023 will get back on track. And you'll see here the growth, the expected growth for the next years. Of course, we still have some challenges, that's for sure. The biggest one has to do with mobility. And we've been very active in saying that instead of considering a risky country, we should consider the risk of a person entering a country. And we've seen very recently that the countries that opened more quickly to markets such as the United States or Brazil, like Croatia and Greece, have had a better result, but not as a big impact as it was supposed to have in the control of the pandemic. So mobility is crucial for these results. Connectivity, as I told you, we've seen many new airline companies looking for Portugal. British Airways is putting direct flights from London to the Azores twice a week. Iberia has the 5 airports of Portugal connected with Madrid and Barcelona. We've seen EasyJet putting another airplane in the Algarve for the next season. So this is a work that we're doing, of course, but it's crucial to understand this connectivity and the importance of connectivity to Portugal. Of course, trust is essential, and we've been very active in promoting what we're doing, and all the facilities in Portugal are doing with the Clean and Safe seal, not only with the national market, but with the international market. But most important, we need stability in terms of measures on how can we plan the future. That's something that we've been very focused on. I think we all hope that nothing goes back, or at least it doesn't go back to 2020. But it's important that this stability and based on clear communication and based on data is fundamental now to achieve those results. How do we get there? During the pandemic, the sector has had more than 2.7 billion euros of support from different lines of the government, especially financial support. But we have to not only reactivate tourism, but also plan the future. So we launched a plan in May this year, which is called Reactivate Tourism and Build the Future, an action plan of 6.1 billion euros for the tourism sector for the next 6 years. And this plan is very simple. It's based on 4 pillars. First, 2 strategic goals: reactivate tourism and build the future, as I told you. And in the build the future, we want to bring, as I told you, more value to those who visit us, to those who invest, but also to those who live here and who work in the tourism sector. A more responsible future, and of course, a more sustainable future too. 4 pillars. The first one has to do with support enterprises. Almost 60% of the 6.1 billion euros is addressed to the companies. Financial support, several financial lines that are being launched and will be launched especially during this year and the next year. Stimulate safety, as I told you, not only in the business activity, but in the behavior of tourists in our country. Third, and I would say the most important right now, especially for our hoteliers and our tourism companies, how to generate business with a short, medium, and long-term strategy. Tomorrow we're going to discuss this also in terms of markets, products. We've been very active with a lot of campaigns. You will see at the end our digital campaigns reach 170 million people a year from 130 countries. Many of them organically, which is wonderful, especially for the budget. But campaigns is not only, it's not enough. As I told you, it has to do with connectivity, it has to do with building safety, it has to do with developing new products. We've been developing wine tourism, literary tourism, cycling and walking, even religious tourism for markets such as South Korea, that has 8 million Catholics that travel every year to every place that has a church almost. So this is how we're planning on generating business for this year and for the next years. And finally, building future. We want to have a more resilient sector, and this is a very important decision that we've taken over the past years. And the future is not only made about sustainability, digital and skills. I'm not going to talk about that because it's very easy to talk about sustainability, digital and skills, but it's very hard to implement them. So our biggest focus right now is how to build the future of tourism so that all of you who are investors in our country in the tourism sector, of course, get their maximum return, but with a huge respect for the planet and for the community. This is a goal that we have in our activity, in our plans, in our budget, but most important, in the attitude of everyone who wants to visit Portugal and who wants to invest in Portugal. The role of tourism in the country, we're responsible for 20%. In 2019, we were responsible for 20% of total exports, and we want to grow this present. 14% of the GDP was from the tourism sector, and we believe there is still a margin to grow, but most important, to recover the numbers we had in 2019. But we also believe that we have a role in Portugal as a benchmark. We always say that we want to lead the tourism of the future. And our role is very simple. We want to be not only an example, but we want to help other countries, other destinations, other institutions related with tourism to grow in a very sustainable way. So this is what I had to tell you. I'll be around for sure. I'm happy to listen to the panel. But first, I would like to leave you with, these are the pillars and the discrimination of the pillars. But I wanted to leave you with a very simple and very quick video of our latest campaign that says that this is the time to be, especially in Portugal.
It's time to go. Time to quench your thirst, to live. Time to shake and make. Time to head back on the road, our way. A freedom feast, fold the mist. It's time to go. It's time to speed up the pulse, intensify the beat. to get together, meet and greet. It's time to go, time to lift off and cruise. It's showtime. Turn on the lights and hit the stage. To exhale. It's time to go. It's time for legends, a bright era. Time for the skilled to be raw, to make way for the stubborn adventurers, the ones who outline frontiers and narrow the gaps. It's time to go. Time to leave a mark, an exclamation one. Time to roam and ramble on, eyes on fire. Time to stand out and be courage. It's time to inspire.